Hello.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, I was just sending out a message hoping I was in the right place. So excellent.
Guess what? You're in the right place.
Good, good. How are you doing this morning?
Fantastic. I'm excited to hear your presentation. I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay.
Do you want to practice sharing your screen?
Sure.
Jen, where are you calling from today?
From the Bay Area, California.
How's the weather there today?
It's actually going to be a beautiful day. The sun is just coming up.
That's
nice
awesome.
and clear. Can't
And
complain.
you pronounce your company, is it Milestonia?
It's Milestonia, yes.
All right.
So
Awesome.
How are things in Denver today? A lot of people are getting snow. Are you guys getting snow?
I think the forecast had a chance of snow. I don't see any snow coming down right now.
Yeah.
It's been a cold week, I guess.
Yeah, it's beautiful where you all are though. I've been to Denver several times. Love
Very
it in the
cool.
winter.
When's the last time you've been out here?
I was probably out there a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So
you've been presenting at other 1 Million Cups?
I have. Yeah, it's been nice to get a perspective of different business leaders across the country. So I was grateful when you all said that you'd like to have me present.
Definitely. Yeah, we love being Zoom right now. It just opens up to the whole country of entrepreneurs to come and present and give you feedback to hopefully grow your business.
Yeah, it's great. It's great feedback.
That's awesome. Morning, Jeff.
Here we go. Morning, folks. How are you all?
Fantastic. How was your weekend?
I was good. It was, pretty much hunkered down in place and doing work, but that seems to be par for the course these days.
Yeah.
How about you?
I went out to Wolf Creek. You've been there before?
No, I've not. You went skiing?
Yeah.
I've not skied there. How was it?
It was awesome.
Great.
It is. Going there for the first time ever. I have to go back there every year and recommend everybody go there as well. Well, not too many people, but just people I like.
That's great.
They got the first day was there, got 6 inches of snow, second 5, and then me and my buddy, we only planned to do 2 days, so we left on the third day. But if we did ski the third day, we would have gotten 26 inches of snow.
Oh my!
Wow!
Wow!
Didn't plan that out too well, but that was life.
Well, yeah, you kind of take what the weather gives you.
Yeah, but they get the most snow in Colorado.
Yeah, yeah, they're routinely way up there in snowfall.
It's just interesting how weather works and jet streams and how the mountains affect things, but it seems like that pass is able to stop systems and it just dumps right there.
Drop right there. That's great.
Powder is great, but it can be so exhausting to ski in.
Yeah, we skied in at Crested Butte after they had I think it was a 19-inch dump, and yeah, it was really hard. It's a different style. You have to do different things to keep upright and keep from veering off to one side or the other.
Yeah, it's a different kind of challenge, but I think I prefer powder to ice.
Oh,
I learned to ski on the East Coast in New England. It was always icy and 20 degrees. So I'll take powder any day.
Yeah. I've skied with people who grew up and skied in the East, and they are always the best skiers because they've learned on the hard conditions.
Well, I can't say it was any good, but I survived.
Yeah, I agree. 6 and 5 inches of snow is really great versus like really not as hard to deal with versus like 20 inches.
Yeah,
as well.
No, that's true.
I learned, I didn't know this until last year, that when you do get a lot of powder and you have a partner, you should kind of like alternate positions as you go, because then the person in the front is getting all the friction and the person in the back is just following the trail. And then after a while, that person in the front is going to slow down. So ideally, the person in the back should flip in front because they have all the momentum.
Oh, that's interesting.
haven't tested this out yet, but that's what I was told.
I think that takes way too much control for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to manage that. But we were just up in Tahoe this weekend, and they got a nice dusting of 4 inches. So you're right, that little amount of powder can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Have a really great day.
Yeah, I haven't been out to Tahoe yet. I hear it's a really great ski area.
Yeah, you have to time it right because it can get a little slushy and mushy around this time of year. So, which for you powder skiers is kind of drudgery.
It's a gorgeous place.
It is pretty.
I grew up in New Jersey, so I did a lot of skiing out there growing up. The Poconos, Shawnee Mountain was mine.
Yeah. My husband grew up in New Jersey, and he talks about the fact that the mountains there are really just like little molehills compared to the Sierras.
Right.
But that is where he learned to ski.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been around like to Whistler. Yeah, Whistler Mountain. That was really good.
That's great.
Coming back to Colorado, you're like, these are really good too. Like, I don't really need to travel too far to get great skiing.
Yeah, you guys have some great skiing where you are. And if you want variety, you can just hop over to Utah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go far.
I'm going to Big Sky in March for the first time. I hear that's pretty good too.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
You guys have any trips planned at all?
Well, we've got one that's been put on hold a couple times. It's a trip to the southern part of Italy, right at the toe of the boot.
Oh.
It's a foodie kind of trip. And it's guided by a woman who lives in the Bay Area, and she's written a book. She's from that area. She lives in Oakland, and her backyard is just, I've not seen it, but it's loaded with all kinds of things that she cooks and makes and puts on her Instagram. And
wow,
the trip has been put off a couple of times, and now it looks like it won't happen until 2022.
Oh.
But
anyway, how about you guys?
So when you say it's a foodie trip, is it going to places or just cooking food for you?
It's going to places and kind of learning in demonstrations. It's that part of Italy it's still in some ways rustic kind of cooking and traditional, even though now with more women working outside the home, you pick up bread on the way home, whereas you used to bake bread in your house. So it's a little bit of learning and watching the old ways of doing things and kind of the new newer cuisines and things that they're doing.
Very cool. Would
that
you
sounds fantastic.
Make food as well?
I don't know that. I've got to dig. Shame on me. I haven't dug into it that much. I hope that is part of the experience, to get your hands dirty and goopy and get to eat what you make. But I haven't checked into that.
I think the best meals is when you interact with your food in some way.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I have a hot pot that I purchased like 6 months ago. I haven't used it once, but I'm gonna have a date on Friday and we're gonna use the hot pot. So I'm pretty excited to
all right,
try it out. Yeah. I think it should be pretty straightforward. I haven't used. I've gone to places that have hot pots before, but this is my first time testing it out on my own.
Well, good luck. It sounds fun.
Yeah, and hot.
well, that's where you have to prep everything in advance, right? And you kind of cook at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of advanced prep work.
Okay, as you said that, I'm like, shoot, I don't know if I have time for this prep work. I was hoping to just go to the store, buy some stuff, and be ready to go. But now I gotta prep things.
Well, you can prep together as you're cooking, so it'll work.
It'll make the date longer, which is good.
That sounds like fun.
Jen, did you say you have any trips planned?
We're only going up to Tahoe right now. I grew up on Maui, and my parents are still there, and we did go and shelter with them in the fall. for a couple of months, but that was a big deal because we had to get tested before we went, and then we had to get tested
Right.
when we were there, and it was a big hassle. So now we're only going places by car for the time being.
That's interesting to get it tested there as well if you got tested already before you left.
It's not a requirement, but we just did it to keep my parents safe. So we sheltered until we could get tested. So, and luckily they have a cottage in the back. So we could stay there for a week until we got our test results back. And then we were there for 2 months. So it wasn't a big deal, but it got a little complicated because of in California, they, in the fall, they didn't have that many tests available. So, and they wouldn't test people who were going to travel. They figured that was non-essential testing. So it was tough to actually find a place to get tested before we left. So, but definitely worth going. If anyone wants a change of scene, the flights to Maui are very affordable right now.
Oh, all right.
How much are they? How much did you pay?
It was about 300 round trip, which is
Okay.
less than anything I've ever paid
Yeah.
even during the low travel seasons. So, and I think that if we hadn't been restricted on our days, we could have probably traveled for $200 round trip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like you can add the cost of the COVID test within that and be like, it's still worth it.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. And just to let you know, I'm going to have you present first. My email, I apologize, I didn't update the second paragraph and there was a whole name in there. It could have been your name. So you're going to be going first after I did that whole.
Okay. Thank you.
So, waiting on Allie. She should be entering here soon. While I wait for some more people, I'm going to share some links to everyone. It's just going to be slide deck links, apply to present links, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also the presenter information as well. Hope everybody's enjoying the cold and your pipes aren't breaking like my building, and I got flooded in my building, fun fact. But I'm dry now, so we're good. I survived. Hey, is Allie here yet? There she is. Oh, hi, Allie. Good, you're here.
Hi.
Going to share my screen. Just some housekeeping real quick. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Use the raise hand button to ask a question. The raise hand button has moved. Where is it now? It's under reactions. On your bottom bar, more reactions. You can see the raise hand button. You can use the chat feature during the meeting to share links and connect with other people, and also recommend changing your name in Zoom. If you hit go to your square, top right corner, select those 3 dots, go to rename. You can do like first name, job title, and first name, company. So we can know a little bit better. All right, and I need to get going here. Let's go with it.
1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program developed by the Caution Foundation. Over the years, we've added more cities. It's a great bridge here to see what's happening across the country. What I've learned from other entrepreneurs is very, very valuable. So you know, really important people that have ideas too. It helps people to think, you know what, my idea is worth something. It's worth it. It's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.
Well, welcome, my Hollywood Squares. My name is Nick Campion. I'll be your MC for today. You're welcome to add me on LinkedIn. I sent my link in the chat. Here at 1 Million Cups, we meet every week on Wednesday, 9 a.m. via Zoom. We're here to do virtual coffee or tea at every meeting. If you want to show off your coffee cup, you can do that. Here's mine for today. We do 6-minute presentations, not pitches. We're here to connect and network after the presentations. We do 15 to 20 minutes of audience feedback and questions. This is a great place for entrepreneurs to be vulnerable, open, and transparent. And we're here to discuss ideas, not people. All right, looking at my room or our room. Who's new to 1 Million Cups today? Anybody? Anybody? Jacob, okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna send out a poll to everyone if you can fill it out. Just ask if you're new to 1 Million Cups or not, and do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? While you're doing that, just to let you know, 1 Million Cups does have a website. It is 1millioncups.com/Denver. Go to this website. You can see who's presenting each week. You can also sign up to be a member for free, where you will get our weekly newsletter as well about who's presenting. And we do have a LinkedIn page. I sent this link in the chat. It's 1 Million Cups Denver. This is where I will be posting any links that people share during the meeting on the group later. And this is also a great way to connect with other people as well. Quick shout out to our sponsors. We have Enterprise, Founder Craft, Middle State Coffee, Good Elephant, who we're going to be hearing from later today, Photo Media, Colorado Landing Source, Rocky Mountain Photography, Commons on Champa, and WeWorks Labs. Let's give all of these awesome sponsors a big round of applause. Shout out to the org team, myself, Gregarious, Kevin, Carter, Ali. Thanks for your free time and volunteering. If you're interested in helping, you can always use some help. We'd love someone to help me with these slides if you want to spend 5-10 minutes each week in updating these. Now I'm going to go to some volunteer introductions. Just looking for 3 volunteers to introduce themselves. Name, what you do, anything you want to share about yourself, hobby, or what you did this last weekend. Doesn't matter. Do you have any volunteers? If not, I'm just going to call in some people. Anybody want to share? Okay. How about Jacob? You want to, since you're new, you want to say hello to the group?
Yeah. Do you want just name? What do you want? Just name anything else?
Yeah. Name, what you do, how you heard about us.
Yeah.
Fun fact, whatever.
Sure. So my name is Jacob Hederly. I heard about Million Cups through, I think it was Sage Innosphere up in Fort Collins. I'm actually a student at Colorado State University currently. And fun fact, oh, this is always hard because you can't, when you're on the spot, there's nothing fun about yourself you can think of. I can ride a unicycle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and I guess a little bit, so the reason I'm interested in Million Cups is I'm working on a startup with a couple friends at school. So
Do you currently have a unicycle?
I do. I'm not sure where it's at. I think it's at my parents' house because my wife and I, our apartment's kind of small, and so we don't have a lot of space to store stuff.
Unicycle, the perfect bike for a small apartment?
I guess it is, but it's like we don't have any room, so just sit in the corner and look bad.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob, for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Brad, I'd like to do an introduction.
Yeah, hi, I'm Brad Bickerton, and it's a funny story because I just started coming back to this one a couple weeks ago, but I've been doing Million Cups for a while. It's the place that I always start for any pitch, whether it's a crazy idea I had on a hike or it's something I've been doing for a while. And last night I was on this Clubhouse with 2 friends, just like, hey, why are we doing a 3-way college chat on Clubhouse? And this guy shows up. He's a friend of one of the people. And he goes, oh, Brad, I know you. I saw you pitch at Million Cups in early 2018. And so my co-founder, Hannah, doesn't know the story yet, that somebody remembered my pitch from 3 years ago, last night. I hadn't had a single word of communication with him since. So it's just that's a fun story. Anyway, I thought you guys would enjoy that. Second, my uncle is a hell of an entrepreneur. And the way that he got his first clients in the late 80s, early 90s was being on a unicycle and juggling until the owners would come out and actually meet with them. And then he'd pitch what he was selling. So
No way.
Jacob.
So,
yeah,
so you're saying that's what I should do for pitches?
That was back in the day where, getting into the lobby of a place, you then had to
Oh.
get through the gatekeeper to then get to the
Gotcha.
decision maker. So the world may have changed a smidge.
Worth a shot, maybe.
Thanks,
Though.
everyone. Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like, Jacob, we need to see your unicycle in the next meeting or 2. Okay.
I'll try. I'll have to go get it from my parents at some point.
All right. Actually, I see your hands up.
Hi. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name's Ashley Berghoff. I'm a consultant who works with kind of entrepreneurs and small business owners and helps them design freedom into their businesses through systems and delegation. Have been coming to 1 Million Cups for a couple of months now. Really glad to be connecting with, people locally. A lot of the work I do is online, so it's always fun, even if we're still virtual, to get to know people here locally. Fun fact, I don't know if you can see this or not. I am a Wyoming native, and I actually have a horse bridle displayed in my office now. Super excited about it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's me.
That is awesome. I don't have anything fancy like that to show. We'll work on that. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for introductions. Later today, we're gonna do some breakout rooms so we can get to know each other a little bit more. Community announcements. So if you have anything you want to share, start thinking of what you might want to say. Here at 1 Million Cups Denver, we're open to a variety of different presentation types. So if you have an idea that you've been thinking about, want some feedback on, apply to present. If you have a product, you already have customers, you want to get some feedback on your current business, apply to present. If you're looking to raise money and you have an investor presentation, apply to present. If you are a business expert in finance, marketing, something related to startups, and it would be helpful for them to learn your expertise, apply to present. And if you're an organization related to startups, I would love to hear about your organization to help entrepreneurs. And also, we're also open to past presenters to presenting as well. And now we're going to move on to our first presentation, Milestonia. Milestonia empowers small business leaders to engage, align, and retain high-performing teams with an easy-to-use, gamified goal management software platform to increase accountability, productivity, and camaraderie. Great for remote teams. Let's give a big round of applause for Jen and Mile. Wait for the claps. Wait for the claps. Milestonia, here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that welcome. And I will say, I'm going to echo what Brad said earlier about, presenting at 1 Million Cups and what a great experience that is. I have been presenting at a few across the country. So thank you very much for welcoming me here. I just meet some really cool people. Every conversation is different and every conversation leads to another really cool conversation. So that's why I do it and I love it. So thank you all for having me here today. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm Jennifer Appy. I'm CEO and co-founder of Milestonia, and we are passionate about helping small businesses to succeed. We're here today to get feedback on our story and our presentation, perhaps get some suggestions for free workshops that could lead to a conversation about Milestonia, find out if there's anyone who wants to work with us, and get your advice on how we can get the word out about our free accounts. So Milestonia's story is best told through the eyes of Sam, whose software company was declining 30% year over year in revenues. He was able to, over the past 2 years, use Milestonia in order to reverse that trend. He aligned and empowered his team and lined them around the work that mattered, got to 40% year over year revenue growth with decreased headcount, resulting in bottom line profitability. This is also the story of James, who was able to enjoy a 30% revenue increase year over year with a modest investment, also resulting in bottom line profitability. So we're in the business of creating better business outcomes and helping leaders to create accountability cultures that are fun and to do more with what they have. This is what an engaged team looks like in a weekly meeting using Milestonia as a dashboard, where leaders recognize people for achieving their goals, earning points and rewards for the team. We're proud of what team members have to say. They're experiencing greater productivity while also having fun. We're also experiencing some success with executive coaches and with families who appreciate the fact that Milestonia helps them create clarity and better communication. So the old way of motivating a team might have included dangling carrots or sideline coaching or using software to evaluate performance, or reward employees, or software to manage tasks, project management, CRMs, anything to keep track of the work. But the new way is to really engage a team around the work that matters, using any goal management philosophy that you're comfortable with. OKRs, EOS, any goal management system will do, or goal methodology will do. But the important thing is to make the work fun, with fun welcome gifts, points and rewards, leaderboards, gifts for making progress, and a clear dashboard. So Milestonia helps teams manage goals in a way that creates social accountability. Our processes create better clarity, transparency, visibility, and communication, and then leaders can enjoy greater productivity, professional development for their staff, as well as employee retention. And this is what a dashboard looks like that you can use on a weekly basis to recognize your team during check-in meetings, weekly check-in meetings. So why now? With so many companies going remote with their workforce, Milestonia Goal Management is what companies need to build camaraderie, retain their workforce, and navigate the new normal. And the need for focus and fun is a big opportunity. 90% of businesses in the world are small businesses with less than 100 employees. Small businesses face tough odds. Many do not achieve their goals, which leads to a myriad of other problems. Only 34% of workers feel engaged at work, and CEOs recognize that this is an issue. We believe that helping companies achieve their goals is the problem that needs to be solved, and to do it in a fun and engaging way. So just in the US, the opportunity funnel for our solution looks like this, and it would be even bigger if we were to consider companies around the world. So there are 7 million companies in the US with less than 100 employees. 10% of them generate over $1 million a year and can afford our software solution, which results in about a $2 billion market. 66% of those companies need a solution like ours. And if you think about the savings in company retention, employee retention, productivity, as well as the opportunity for increased growth, the ROI could be huge. Even at a fraction of this amount, at $100,000 a year, you're still looking at a double-digit ROI. So our mission is to create an ecosystem that gets companies to a new level of productivity and engagement. Our software platform includes goal management, goal progress coaching, and career upskilling. And we can partner with executive coaches, performance management tools, rewards and recognition tools, and course providers as needed. With the use of pulse surveys and personalized in-app messaging, Milestonia can function as a frictionless employee accountability coach, helping each team member be the best contributor that they can be. And our offering right now is a SaaS software platform priced at $5 to $10 per user per month. So larger companies can afford a tech stack with multiple tools, plus the consultants to implement them, plus IT and HR for training. But smaller companies can't necessarily afford that. Smaller companies will enjoy Milestonia's compact footprint to replace the tech stack at a fraction of the price. And it's simple enough to implement without a team of consultants. Integrations do exist for companies that need to use Asana or Salesforce or Lattice, but often these enterprise software tools are expensive and have way more functionality than a small company needs. So Milestonia makes it affordable for small companies to have what they need to propel their growth, and this is where we're finding product market fit. So the implementation that we follow is guided. We have a 3-stage process. There's discovery, roadmap, development, and then quarterly check-ins. And the details are on our website where we explain how we help create accountability cultures. So to get more companies to experience the benefits of Milestonia, we engage them in conversations via free workshops where we show leaders and team members how to create accountability cultures in a fun way. So, and now I'd like to get your feedback on our story, the topics that we use to start the conversation, and whether you know of anyone who would like to join our team or check out Milestonia for free and give us feedback. Thank you.
Start off with a big round of applause.
Thank you.
I'm open to questions or feedback. If you do have question or feedback, please try and use the raise hand button. If not, I'll look at the Zoom and see your hand physically raised. And limit to 1 to 2 questions at a time. If you have more than that, then I'll come back to you and you can ask those questions or give more feedback. So who wants to start off? Don't be shy. Anybody? Bueller? Kay?
I have a quick question, I guess. Is that
Go ahead,
okay?
Gregorius.
What's the sales cycle look like currently? Like, how long does it take for someone, how long is someone in business before they realize they need this? And then just like, so how long does it take for you to convert them or close them?
Yeah, good question. So what we're finding is that there's certain companies that already define their goals and they just need a tool in order to manage them. That's where we find the fastest progress in terms of meet and greet to onboarding in the tool. When there's a leader who likes what we have to say about developing an accountability culture, but isn't quite sure where to begin or doesn't have a formal goal setting process within their company, that's where it takes a little bit longer. And that's the reason why we started the workshops, in order to help to accelerate that conversation around, thinking about creating more of a goal setting culture. Once a leader is in that mode of, okay, I know what goals I have to set for my team. I know what my North Star is. I know what my nearest star is. Then we're more likely to get them into the tool, onboarded and off and running. So it can vary. I would say that if we were to segment the interest from I'm a goal setter and I need a better tool to I like what you have to say, I have some needs, but I need to figure out how to get there. That range can be anywhere from 1 month to 6 months.
Yeah, the reason I ask, I guess, just because I was thinking, and maybe you do this in some parts, but it's almost like I feel like the negative pain is almost more of a motivator than the sort of the positive outcome, right? Like, so it's more, I feel like everyone feels like they're not getting everything they want to get done. Right. And I almost feel like, I don't know if you like really have like a strong freemium kind of pathway, but like, I feel like if you could, I feel like that's a great like way to attract a lot of people, right? Like to sort of the negative side, like that frustration of not like getting them, because maybe what they don't realize that they're not actually setting goals, or that they're setting like bad goals or unrealistic goals. And maybe that just might be the draw, to sort of lead to sort of like a deeper conversation. Because if you can have that baseline of them sort of relying on you to start to understand it, like the workshops are doing, I think you have a better chance of them locking in with you over a longer term.
Got it. So you're suggesting that by having a freemium model, if people are having pain points, they can experience some of the benefit before paying us for
I think
software?
Like every entrepreneur is like a micromanager fascist that like kind of was like, very upset that like all their employees aren't doing everything. And, I think if you pull that thread, you probably get a lot more of them be like, yeah, these people aren't doing anything. What's going on here? Why is it like, so I just feel like I feel like you could get pretty far, like just by pulling that thread.
Got it. So maybe leading with some of the questions around the pain points, like, are you struggling to align and motivate your team? Or, are you frustrated that you're not getting everything done?
Right? Like pitchforks work way better, right? Like,
got it. Okay. All right. So pitch toward pain points. That's a great point.
Jeff, you have a question or feedback?
Yeah. So it sounds like you do some customization, I'll call it, with your meetings on accountability culture to develop that. After that, do you give the client the tools with the software to customize their own program, or do you develop that yourselves, or is the platform sort of one size fits all? How does that work after you've had the initial discussions with them about creating the accountability culture?
Okay, so that's a great question. So customization happens on a few different levels. Firstly, articulation of a company's goals, it's very flexible. I mean, you can write in whatever your goal is. There's no template, there's no formula. We do provide examples of what other companies do in case people need ideas on how to articulate goals. We advocate the method of SMART: specific, measurable, relevant, actionable, and time-bound. But in terms of what your goals are, representing them in the tool, completely flexible around that. And then we have things like you can have dollar-based goals, metrics-based goals, depending on whether you're measuring lead or lag indicators, KPIs, initiative-based goals that are managed on a percentage-based complete. So we can do all that. There's also a level of customization that includes interfacing with what companies do currently, whether it's a process or whether it's a software tool. If it's a process, we can work with the company to say, okay, you know, what are your processes today, and work with them on how they would use the tool in a way that would fit in with their existing processes. The other side of it is if you have a tool that you're using, like, you know, we have clients today who are using Asana, HubSpot, Slack, and other tools. We actually use Zapier as an integration application in order to be able to pass data to other tools. The most common thing that we do is we allow people to export and import via Google Sheets. So that way we can minimize the disruption on their business and hopefully are incremental to what they do, not, you know, not necessarily disrupting what they do. But if we're disrupting, hopefully it's in a good way.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, who else has a question or feedback for Jen?
I had a quick
Go ahead,
one.
Ashley. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was curious because I know you mentioned a little bit focusing on, you know, the 7-figure plus businesses, but your price point sounds kind of familiar to me as a smaller one who works with smaller ones, in terms of it wouldn't be out of the range of smaller companies.
Okay.
I was curious, you know, is it more those guys have slightly larger teams and more of an interest in that, or was it a question of affordability to focus on the million plus market?
Oh, yes, it is a question of affordability, but also it's oftentimes what we've been finding in, so the last 6 months has been around exploring product market fit. And what we found was that companies that are smaller sometimes have much more pressing issues than trying to align and motivate their teams. So we found that companies that had found their revenue model and were ready to scale or were scaling were better candidates for our product. So, but that's a really good point and a good question. We wouldn't want to necessarily alienate smaller companies in that. We just use that kind of as a rule of thumb, looking at the total potential market and trying to be realistic about who could afford us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was just curious because at the beginning you had mentioned, you know, million plus are the ones who can afford us, and then later mentioned your pricing. And I was like, oh, a lot of my people spend a lot more than that on several tools at a time, you know, even though they're in the low 6 figures. So
yeah, okay.
That's why I was curious. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about the story behind the idea, how you came about it, and also the name as well.
Yep. So one of the case studies that I mentioned in the beginning is actually us. So we actually created this as an internal tool at another company, and then decided to commercialize it. And so, you know, the guy that's the CEO of the other company is still CEO, but he's involved in this one, and I'm the CEO of this company. So it was a tool that was developed out of need and frustration. Actually, you know, based on existing tools that were on the market that were expensive or hard to use.
Awesome. What tools do you see? I use them all. Are not, or features that these smaller companies don't need, and like what's like the core things that these small companies need that they don't necessarily need from these other products?
Got it. So I'll use Asana as an example. So Asana is a great project management tool. There's a lot of depth and breadth for defining projects down to, you know, a level of nitty gritty. What we found was that, and this was our personal frustration and the reason why we developed Milestonia, we just found that it took so long to set that up for everything that we were doing that it didn't give us a really good high level of how everyone was doing in the company. In addition, at the time, Asana didn't have, I think now they have badges, but they don't really focus on the gamification aspect of it. And that was really important to us to get everybody on the same page. So the simplicity of defining the work, the simplicity of checking in on the work, and then the easy tie-in with rewards and points was the reason why we created Milestonia. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. From your customer feedback that you've gotten so far, what are like features that your customers are wanting that they want to incorporate in your product?
So they really love the gifts. So you saw a glimpse of what we do in the product. Based on the feedback that we got in the first round of beta companies last fall, we're now doubling down on the gifts. So what we're now developing is, when I described the frictionless accountability coach, there's logic in the product around, if you're behind in your goals, if you're late on your goals, if you're ahead on your goals, if you're crushing it on your goals, we'll serve up gifts that create encouraging messages for you in order to encourage you to get the work done. So what we found was that we needed to encourage people to log into the tool to give their progress and to encourage them and reward them for doing that. And so we do that through gifts and humor.
I love a good gift. Anyone else? Feedback or questions for Jen? Going once, twice. I'll use the last question then. So Jen, what as a community can we do for you?
Well, if there's anyone who's curious about checking out Milestonia and giving us feedback, happy to set you up with an account. We're at a point where we've gotten a lot of good pointed feedback from the 50 companies that we've onboarded so far. And now we want to just get as many companies on it as possible in order to just increase the feedback that we're getting. We responded to the group of 50. We have a pretty good idea of where our product market fit is. Now we just want to test the heck out of it and get as many people on board as possible. So if you would like to do a trial run with Milestonia, I would be happy to onboard you.
Awesome. Well, let's give Ben and Milestonia a big, wait for it, round of applause.
Thank you so much. Great questions. Love the feedback.
I'm going to do some breakout rooms. Breakout rooms just to connect, get to know each other a little bit. 10 minutes. I have an icebreaker question if you need it. Be honest, how often do you work from bed? Is the icebreaker question. I got rooms set up, so I'm going to send you guys out into some breakout rooms, connect, and then we'll come back for Good Elephants presentation. You should get an invite now. That's funny. I have you guys coming back to join me since I'm not by myself.
Wait, who's just me? I
No,
was with
yeah,
Ali. What happened?
Ali's here now.
Oh, okay.
It's annoying. I can't assign when I do breakout rooms. I have to put everybody in a room, but I can't assign the main room, which is my room.
Oh, it doesn't just like break everyone up into things?
I create 4 rooms, but there's also the main room, and it doesn't allow me to assign the main room until I send everybody out to rooms, and then I can move people back to the main room.
But where is everybody? How come I don't see Ali?
Ali's here. Ali, say hi.
I'm here.
Ah, okay. I don't know why it went to like it used like the mode I don't like using.
Oh.
Like with the icons.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to view things now. I get confused.
Oh.
First world problems.
I'm technically running a room on Clubhouse at the same time.
Oh, you are?
Trust yourself in figuring that out.
Yeah.
I keep getting your invite for Clubhouse.
I don't know what you are doing, like not being in there. Like I'm up to 6,000 followers. I have almost as many as I have on Twitter after 12 years on Twitter.
Wow, sweet. Well, yeah, I need to do it.
Yeah, like yesterday we did our first beta test with our new product, and it worked really awesome.
That's awesome. And
And
how
it was you did it
go ahead.
through Clubhouse? Oh, sorry. You did it through Clubhouse?
So yeah, our new thing is like is basically like a private version of Zoom. So it blends like Patreon and Cameo together. So you like buy subscriptions for access to someone. So like if you're an influencer or a celebrity or consultant, you could be like, great, I'm going to do office hours once a week and I'm going to charge $25 per session or $100 a month. Right. And then you can come and ask questions, but we do video, we live record all the video and then cut all the videos up automatically in individual questions so that you can actually share the answers back out on social. So you get like free social content by answering questions basically.
Cool.
And I did a side, I had a lawyer friend come in and we did an AMA on startup legal questions for like an hour and a half. And so people were listening in Clubhouse. We had like 150 people listening in Clubhouse, but then we had like 10 questions come in through the video side. So we actually have all of the whole session recorded basically.
Cool.
Do you have any plans on potentially Wednesday mornings to do that, you know, following 1 million cups by chance?
I could. Yeah, I mean, the thing works without Clubhouse for sure. Like it's actually easier without Clubhouse. And I think it's a good format in general. Yeah, like we built this in like 40 days. So like I was like amazed it didn't shit itself yesterday, basically.
Totally. Is there a way we could report the 1 million cups meeting to Clubhouse via your app?
Yes, we could technically.
That would be awesome. Let's start that.
So technically I can share this audio from 1 million cups into Clubhouse automatically. Like
Okay.
if people wanted to, I'm surprised actually, we should bring this up with them. Like if they want to try doing stuff on Clubhouse anyway. Cause I think it would be interesting. Like I want to run Founders Live on Clubhouse actually. Right. Like, and I would love to run 1 million cups on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've like gotten rooms. My biggest room so far has been like 800 people at one time. And then tomorrow I have a room with a VC friend of mine at 500. He has 1.6 million followers. So we're doing an AMA with him. And so that should be another big, massive room as well.
Wow. Okay, I'm joining.
You could have been way ahead, but now you'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah. So is there anything that we would need to do? Do you want to check in with regional about that? Or, because I think streaming Million Cups on Clubhouse would make a lot of sense. And if we could help you somehow, that makes even more sense.
I can definitely, I mean, like a lot of times the decks don't matter, right?
Okay.
In 1 million cups, which I think is actually one of the nice parts, right? But I can also use or port, I have to figure out all the wiring. Like we could definitely take questions from people in Clubhouse to our audience in 1 million cups,
Cool.
for sure. Like that part's easy. Like here, like right now, listen.
So looking at really your LinkedIn connections or people even you
So,
don't know.
Rami,
you try to-
let's.
So that's actually my room in 1 million cups, like being piped through my computer right now.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I can go back, we can go either direction. I think it would be a fun experiment, for sure. Maybe we should try like, by the way, Paul is in my rooms all the time, constantly. Like he's there a lot. And randomly, by the way, last week I managed to book like $850 in consulting, like just mentorship sessions without asking. Like just inbound stuff. Like people are like, can I book some time with you? And I had like super peer linked and someone booked it over there. And then I did a half-hour call with someone and they're like, can I book you for like an hour a week kind of thing? So there's just like stuff, like it's just pretty easy. But what I was thinking is we could try something like this interstitially before the meeting, right? Like maybe like, I'm trying to do something for Denver. So it'd be great if all of us could be in there. Like I want to have like Michael Beavis from the city, it could be us, maybe a couple of VCs and whatnot, but just like talking about like the Denver startup community. So I'd like to have like a place that we talk every week.
That'd be awesome. I would be there. For sure.
Would it still make sense to do the Zoom and Clubhouse at the same time?
So I think we should test that part out kind of separately. right? Like maybe we can find like a volunteer to try the same format we would use on Wednesday, but try it like in a more controlled environment, you know? And have them do it. I think like they can do their presentation and basically pick up, you know, a whole bunch of other listeners and other exposure, right? And so like, I think like the thing is you'd want more time, right? Like you wouldn't want, like 20 minutes wouldn't be enough because like you potentially have like, you know, dozens of questions coming in. So I think like, you know, like it doesn't work in the same time slot nearly as well, right? Like we've probably fielded like right now on stage, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more people who've asked questions, and we've probably already answered like 12 questions. So, and this room's been running, that room's been running since 8:30. So, you know, it takes us usually 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get through like all the questions that come up for people.
Okay. Yeah, let's brainstorm this idea more and see how we can make it work. I'm open to, you know, another channel of more participants.
Yeah, especially because now 1 Million Cups is all virtual. So like it's like the location really doesn't matter anymore, right? Like so like we could just be the virtual one, you know, like
that's right.
And just sort of like we're already getting like we have someone from Hawaii right now, right? Like so it's like it kind of works either way, you know. But I do think if we're gonna have a bigger audience, you need more time. So like I think the 1 per week would be a better structure, like if we're gonna go into that universe.
I'm gonna bring everybody back to the main room.
Cool.
We're gonna get going with Allie's presentation.
Recording in progress.
So the whole GC, we're based there.
Oh, this is cool, the way they do the interests.
Are you logging into Clubhouse, Allie?
Yeah, I'm like checking out their onboarding thing, which is kind of similar of how we want Good Elephant to do, like tell us your interests and stuff, which is cool.
I've only used Clubhouse once so far. It's a cool platform. It just
What did you think of it?
I think it's great to connect with people, and the audio aspect makes it, like, I guess, a little more fluid versus like being on video can seem awkward. I just haven't had time to really spend.
Paul, are you still in both rooms? Look at Paul, guilty look.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Paul's been in a lot of, I probably like have like 12 hours of content a week on Clubhouse at this point. So.
Paul, how many Clubhouse followers do you have?
I just have 27 followers.
Yeah.
We all got goals.
Paul, I can start bringing you up whenever you're ready. I just didn't know if you want to answer questions.
I don't know if I'm ready for that yet.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna get going with our second presentation, which is Good Elephant. Do what wakes you up and rediscover your town. We are an online community that connects you with new teachers and local businesses through healthy lifestyle classes and meetups. On Good Elephant, you can find, request, teach, or host local and virtual events. Let's give a big round of applause to Allison, Allie, and Good Elephant.
Yay! Let me, can you let me share my screen? It says the host disabled participants. Screen.
Oh, that would be helpful to give access to you. Well, you were late, so I would have done this earlier.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, shots fired. Go ahead, you have access now.
All right. Can you guys see that? My slides?
Solid.
Sweet. Okay, so hi guys. Thanks for being here. I do a similar Ooh, 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 ooh. Nick, would you mind muting yourself? I'm hearing a echo. Right. Okay. Oh, thank you. Sorry, that was just freaking me out. So I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of what Brad was talking about. I've done a couple pitches for 1 Million Cups before, and I've done some investor pitches and different things. But today I want to talk about our new ideas and what we're doing. So I'm just gonna like give you a little bit of context of who we are, what we do, and then kind of present what we're working on. And then my ask will be to kind of help me brainstorm the next steps that we want to take. If you'll indulge me in that. So like I said, we are an online hub that connects communities and teachers and local businesses through yoga, meditation, all kinds of different healthy lifestyle classes and meetups. And so the kind of problem that we're solving, the opportunity that we see, is there are millions of people out there who are isolated right now. They're stressed out. They're not having super healthy lifestyle due to COVID and things. Their yoga studio and community centers have probably closed. They've lost their community and they're really tired of online stuff at this point in time. So then on the other side of things, there's like hundreds of thousands of wonderful teachers who teach all kinds of different healthy lifestyle topics and things like yoga, meditation, gardening, all different cooking kinds of things. But they have lost the spaces that actually use to teach their classes. They're trying to compete with all this online stuff, which is usually free, which is really rough, and they're struggling to make ends meet. So there's these huge opportunity where these people are looking for the right things at the right time, and the teachers are still struggling to make a living and to do what they love, which they should totally be able to do because they're like changing people's lives with what they're doing. And so at Good Elephant, that's kind of our mission, is to connect the teachers with local businesses to host their classes and events, and then with those community members that are looking for what they're doing. And so right now what our app looks like is, it looks kind of like a meetup where our teachers have a membership. They can list their classes and events on there, and then our community can go on, look at the schedule, sign up. Everything's pay what you can on our app right now, and you can download it on the App Store, all of that stuff. In the last like 2 or 3 years, we have gone through, a growth trajectory. We started in Reno, went to Sacramento, we're in Denver, and now St. Charles. We've got a lot of online classes on our app now. And we've done that through our ambassador programs, through a lot of word of mouth, our partnerships with our local business hosts, and also media that we're getting. Our hosts donate their space in exchange for the exposure. We charge a little service fee when people sign up for classes, and then our teachers have a subscription. We've got a really great team working on this. We're all really passionate about what we're doing. And so now I'm going to kind of transition to what we've learned and where we're going. So after working with our community for so long, we're starting to understand this issue that I kind of described before, where teachers are not necessarily tech savvy, entrepreneurial. They just want to teach, and so they come onto these platforms. There's so many platforms that they can use to have people sign up for their classes. They need to take attendance and take payments and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of those platforms, it's a lot of work for the teachers to set things up, market their stuff, bring people to the platform to sign up for their classes. A lot of them are online only or really focused on a certain market. And so we're kind of understanding that we can do it better if we think about what people are really looking for. Teachers just want people in class. People are tired of online stuff, so we can do hybrid and we can partner with our host spaces like we usually do. And then we can let it expand organically into any other healthy lifestyle markets that it wants to go to. We started with the yoga industry as our early adopter market, but we already have like songwriting classes, art classes too. And so the idea is, instead of focusing on the software aspect of things, we can create a whole new kind of value. This is a blue ocean graph where we're kind of mapping what the other companies are focused on, and then these new things that we're creating, which is a lot around local branding, community building, and creating classes and events that people are actually asking for. So that kind of brings me to what we're trying to do now, which is create a place where the community can ask for what it wants. And how do we do that, right? So right now, if you're a community member and you want to find a yoga class near you, you probably go to Google and type in yoga near me, or you go to Facebook events, or you ask a friend, something like that. What if you could just have suggestions for local and or online things that were tailored to what you're looking for? And then you could find your new favorite teacher really easy that way. This way of doing things can make create more classes with more attendees, which is great for everyone. And it can also make them smaller, which is great for the community members, because that makes what you're learning more effective. On the teacher side of things, they're trying to deal with all this software. They're not tech savvy. And so what we would like to do is provide them with opportunities in their inbox that we know exist. We know there's millions of people looking for what they want. So then they could claim classes, set up their schedule, many doing what they love to do. And then for our host spaces, we know that they're really interested in just getting involved in the community, offering events in their space. We don't have any trouble finding host spaces. We bring in customers physically into their space, and they can offer deals and discounts for Good Elephant community members. So what we want to build is this community forward type platform where anyone can come on and contribute in any way that they want. So we've realized that a community member could potentially be attending classes, but could also have want to host classes in their backyard. Or a teacher could come on and want to teach, but also attend some classes or bring on a local space that they know about. So there's so many different ways, and we don't want to put people in a box. We also want to create a space for people to have conversations. What we've tried before, we've done a pilot with about 40 people, and we used data. We collected their interests and their availability, sent them classes, and see if they'd sign up. But what happened was they still felt isolated. They felt confined to their availability that they had set, which people need to have a flexible schedule. And then they were trying to commit to these classes that didn't really exist yet. So we didn't get a lot of great response from that. So here are some of the ideas we have for moving forward. Could be things like forums that are geared specifically toward creating classes and events, or text message chats. We've tried a little bit, and those have gotten us closer to that organic creation of new things. Virtual conversations have been really great. Present this to, usually they have an idea of something they want to start or something they wish existed, or even just kind of a clubhouse style invite only audio group, or printed invitations, things like that. So my ask is, I'd love to use our Q&A time to brainstorm any ideas or initial reactions that you have. We do have a community forum that's first and third Tuesdays, which I'll put in the chat. And we also have our pilot program where you can be even more involved. So thank you.
All right, let's start off with a big round of applause. And now open up to feedback, brainstorming, questions for Ali. Is that Kevin? Do you have your hand? Go ahead, Kevin.
Kev, you're on mute.
Hey, Ali, I would be really curious to hear how you're working with some of the big mainstream brands like a Core Power, a Yoga Pod, a Soul Cycle, Peloton Cycles, etc.
Yeah, so we're not in collaboration yet with any of those big mainstream brands, but definitely open to ideas of how that would help. Did you have something in mind when you were thinking of that?
No, mostly just those brands have done so well of kind of bringing mainstream consciousness to the community and bringing mainstream thinking, alternative thinking to the mainstream. And suddenly we can talk about exercise. Suddenly we can talk about yoga. Suddenly we can talk about your morning cycle that you do in a studio or at your home. And I think that the fact that those have made it to the mainstream psyche, just, those are kind of turned to in a new way as mindful leaders. And that's really where that question comes from.
Okay, so you mean like looking at what they've done and getting ideas for how they've grown. Yeah, that's a great idea for sure.
Anyone else have feedback? Jeff, go ahead.
I have a question, Ali. By the way, great presentation. Love your business model, being a market maker. That's awesome. Which is the more important thing for your business right now? Is it getting more teachers? Is it getting more customers for the classes? Or is it getting more spaces? Or are you looking for brainstorming around all three?
So that's an awesome question. And that is always the question, right? When you're building a marketplace. So, and we have focused a lot on getting more teachers in the past. But what we found is the more teachers that we get, we have to keep up the demand side. And our teachers then get disappointed when they come on and not enough people show up to their classes. So we have transitioned to focusing on getting people into classes right now. So that's our top priority.
Got it. Got it. And so are you doing like search engine optimization and things like that in order to get more people to download your app?
Yeah. What we found is, so I kind of went through it really quick, but on our Jackson side, we have about 2,500 people with the Good Elephant app. And right now we've and I'm totally open to any feedback you guys have on this too, is our focus right now is so before COVID, we did cool classes in local businesses, and then we had to transition to online. And so we kind of lost track of all our community members that we had. And so our focus right now is re-engaging all these people who do love Good Elephant. We've been calling people and talking to them on the phone, and they just want a way to get involved. And most of them don't like online classes in general. So we're bringing back hybrid options, in-person stuff as we can with COVID restrictions in place and everything. So that's our focus right now, is kind of re-engaging the community that we've already worked to build.
Got it. Okay. The only reason why I bring up SEO optimization is I do know of a couple other marketplace applications. One's for children's camps and the other one is for business networking. And one of the things they did, just because they had a like you, a 2-3-sided model, is they did SEO optimization on both sides. They actually did SEO optimization in order to get the app to be discoverable, but they also did discovery SEO off of the course providers as well, and use that as a way to demonstrate viability to show how those course providers could really increase, double, triple their audience through your app. And it was just something that they just did via SEO for free. And then that's how the markets grew.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, we are building web pages and creating content. We're creating content around what our community members are interested in and asking for. So yes, we are definitely doing the long game of the SEO, writing all that content and having that on our site for sure.
Great.
Great feedback. Jeff.
Well, I'll be real quick because well, I can say that Jen is an absolute genius because she read my mind. That was exactly the question that that I was going to ask of Allie. And Jen stated the question much better than I could have. So Jen is a certified genius. So question answered. Thanks very much. Thanks, Jen. And thanks, Allie.
Great.
Okay, I'll let Brad go. Hopefully Brad has a different question.
Yeah, well, I just really try not to go after.
Wait, I wanted to go before Brad again.
No, I'm gonna let Brad go first, and then Greg can contradict.
Okay, oh, that works. Actually, I didn't say anything last in the previous one because I think the freemium model for the previous person was right that time. So, Allie, love too that you're just bringing this kind of day one, like you're not trying to get like right down to the technical details. When we think about marketplaces, when Hannah and I think about marketplaces, I don't have a better name for it. I call it the SUD method, which stands for supply, utility, demand. It's that exact slide that you had with the brick wall in between. There's people who want this, the people who want to pay for it. They're there. And your job is to bring them together, just like a marketplace, just like I'm buying tomatoes and Gregarious is selling tomatoes. And instead of finding each other, we know that Nick's going to host a tomato selling thing on Sundays. And he's going to get his piece of it and all that's going to work. So that's the philosophy we use for doing marketplaces. But the way that the literature dictates is you start with supply. But of course, exactly what you have going on right now is happening, which is the people who are willing to give you their supply of their time and attention want the demand. So this is how we do it. We tell our entrepreneurs to pick a time frame, usually a month. For 1 month, work on supply. Who's still there? Who likes you? How can you level it up? How can you just, okay. The next month, utility. Do we have payments going back and forth? And how do our websites look? And just all the things that you do. And then the next month, demand. Use all of Jen's really smart things to do SEO. But by patterning it like that, you're no longer code switching every day between, oh, my teachers, oh, this person wants to buy, oh, I got to do my accounting. Oh, you just one thing at a time, you level up every month. You do that and I don't know, magic manna will rain from heaven and everyone will love you just a little bit more.
Cool. That's a great. Okay, I'm gonna percolate that because I think we've done it in a longer time frames where we had like a few months where we just focused on getting more teachers or just focused on building our software or that sort of thing. So in my head, it's thinking of it in smaller kind of chunks like that.
The other nice thing is your team now knows what they're doing and it's not arbitrary. So and that's why we like the month schedule, just because, hey, everybody, remember next month, we're moving into utility mode. And that doesn't mean you drop the other stuff. It's just, you're not trying to make it better. You're trying to maintain everything else, but only one of your 3 divisions is going through, it's called a J curve, a growth curve at a time. It really helps pattern recognition. And later when you're super duper successful, people go like, how did you do that? I said, oh, I just got lucky. But it was really this kind of patterning. So,
okay, cool. Thank you.
Gregarious, you got the final question or feedback.
Cool. Well, I mean, obviously everything Brad said is wrong, but no, just kidding.
Obviously.
No, that was great advice, actually. Very much in line, I guess, with what I was going to suggest. Yeah, I feel like almost you're doing too much, Allie, right? Like, I feel like, the supply and demand thing is like the top level problem, right? But the reality is that problem is omnipresent, like forever. And so like, I think like the hard part in marketplaces is actually unpacking how to solve delivery of value to each side, right? And so if I was looking at marketplace approaches, I like to find the part that's the harder part to deliver on, right? Because you end up in the situation you're in right now. Like The business side, of course, wants business, right? And how to deliver the business is actually really easy relative to sort of like the instructors. But how to move the user, right, the supply, like the demand side, into a situation where we're going to buy it, right, is actually a more complicated problem, right? Because you have to figure out like how to reach them. You have to figure out how to convert them. You have to figure out how to make it sustainable. You have to figure out how to make it recurring, right? Like, and so to me, there's more problems in that part than there are in actually the demand, the supply side. And so like, that's why I would probably I would have probably started with the supply side, and I would have picked one person and just figure out how do I make this person the most successful person possible, right? And then try to scale that to more people on the demand side, right? Like, because it feels like the harder brick to move when you have so many competitive time, like everyone's competing for consumers' time. So if you figure out how to win the consumer, then you've actually solved the problem that you can now go offer real accountability, deliverability to the demand side, right? And so like, I don't think you did anything wrong. But the part that is the easiest or most easy to understand is likely the part you don't need to start with, right? Because that's probably not going to be the part that's your rate limiter on your success in the long term.
Mhm. Totally. Yeah, and that was the mistake that we've made for the last kind of long time, which was focusing on making our teacher, like building features and talking to our teachers, which is important, but we weren't focusing on the demand side, the community member side. And that's all our teachers actually want. So yes, and so now we're kind of shifting into this. How do we make things really awesome and differentiate ourselves to the community members who are attending events and things? So cool. Okay.
Great feedback, gregarious. Final question for Ali. What as a community can we do for you?
I'll put it in the chat real quick. But we have a community forum every first and third Tuesday of the month. Oh, did I freeze? And then so it's on Good Elephant. You can download the app. We just want more conversation around how we make things better for the community side of things. And you can sign up on Good Elephant. And then if you want to email me, what chat is it open? Oh, here. If I'll put my email in the chat also. And we have a my words are not working now. We have a pilot going on if you want to get more involved in testing the new kind of features for the community members. So my email is ali@goodelephant.co, and I can send you the link to join that focus group pilot.
All right. Well, you deserve a big round of loading. Get ready for it. Get ready. It's okay. I think it's a lot more fun when you get that buildup of excitement for that round of applause. It was just me. All right. Any community announcements? Anybody want to share? We have maybe a minute or two for anything. I'm going to keep on trucking. Okay. No announcements. Just a reminder, we have a website, 1millioncups.com/Denver. Invite your friends, let them know we're here each week. If you're interested in presenting, you go to this website, apply your present. Also, if you want to know more info on today's presenters, you can go to the website to find about that as well. Quick reminder, everybody here is awesome. You're all awesome. Keep on doing awesome things. Have an awesome week. I do post these videos online if you need to reference back to them. We also have all these social media links as well. I have a pun for you guys. How do you organize a space party with Earth, Mars, and Saturn? You'll plan it.
Oh, that was so much worse than last week. Oh, oh.
Well, just
And
keep
last
on
week was
coming
so
back
bad.
each week, then you can compare them, which is great. Well, if you guys need to go ahead. I'm going to do breakout rooms for anybody that's wanting to stick around and connect. The icebreaker question is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? If you need to go ahead. Thanks for coming out this week. You guys are awesome. But if you want to stick around, do some breakout rooms, I will set those up as well. Right. Let's see. Recreate. Let me fix all this. Breakout rooms. Create. So maybe 3. Right. And here we go. Yep. I'm gonna move some people around. Got everybody. Let me. Actually, I'm going to move these guys to the main session. Gregorius, don't go to room 3. I'm going to move people around. Hopefully everybody's here. All right, Brad, Allie, awesome. I moved you guys back to the main room, so I'm not by myself.
Cool. Can you stop your screen share so I can see?
Oh, yeah.
Little face?
Yeah.
Also, Nick, I think, I've been just a couple weeks. You're doing a really good job of emceeing this. Like there's Hannah and I take notes all the time. I'm like, oh, keep doing this thing and do that thing and everything. The only thing I would say is try and take off screen share when relevant, because it's super useful to me to be able to watch the gallery view. But that's like a tip 2% maybe adjust thing.
I agree, and I try and make note of that. It's so many things are happening at times, like answering questions. I agree.
Well, you got to keep Greg and I from shivving each other, like, and I'm not talking metaphorically. I'm talking like actually. I don't know him that well, but I feel like he has powerful tools of.
That's awesome.
So Allie and I were just starting to chat. Allie, another thing I just wanted to praise you on it's just a great name.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So.
It's it's our brand is one of the things that we are very excited about and solid on, and we always get great feedback on.
What were some other names you had initially?
Well, actually, when I started it, it was called Community Yogi, and that kind of sucked. But for like the first year, it was Community Yogi, and then it was just in Reno, and then we did a kind of a big rebrand, because I realized I wanted it to be a global thing. So I did like a visioning session with cutting things out of magazines and stuff like that, and then it was like obvious that it needed to have an elephant involved and the color yellow, and so then it was like yellow elephant, no, and then good elephant just sounded good, so that was
What do you like about the elephant? Do I lose her?
Oh, here. I have a whole spiel on the elephants, but in Hinduism, right, Ganesha is the elephant god, and he is the first one you meet, and he's the remover of obstacles, and so he kind of introduces you to all the other gods, which are symbolic of all the different aspects of the spirituality. And so we want to be like that, we're the first place you come to do your first yoga class or gardening or whatever you do.
I was talking to, there's a man named Andrew Hyde in the Boulder scene, and he started some things. And I was at Boulder Startup Week a bunch of years ago, and I loved his thought on this, which was he believes the most important person is the person who's never been to something and almost didn't come, not the person who's been there, knows all the things and does it all. And I mean, there's different models, but I just kind of heard that same kind of concept out of you. It's your desire and hope for this isn't, find zealots and extract all the money and time and attention you can from them and become a millionaire. It's, having a creative event for the world. I like that.
Yeah, Andrew's a very old friend. He's a super smart guy, and like Startup Weekend was amazing. Like when it had its run.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what's funny? Ironically, I was not ironically, I guess I'm just wearing my Boulder Startup Week hoodie today, because I dress up for you guys. I take a shower.
Boulder Startup Week, that's the junky one. It's all about Denver Startup Week. Come on.
Well, I moved to Denver to just do from Boulder to Denver to meet new people and do new stuff and all these other things. March 1st of last year.
Nice.
Good job. 2 weeks in. Yeah. Yeah.
You're due.
Hey, by the way, I do need startups to pitch at Founders Live next month, Brad. If you have any that you want to get in there.
What is Founders Live?
It's a 99-second pitch competition. No presenting. None of this nonsense.
And what is there? Is it?
Mick always takes it personally when I try to bring up pitching versus presenting.
Oh God, they're totally different things. It's
absolutely different thing. Yeah, no, it's a 99-second pitch competition. I think Ali won it actually. One of the times, and we give $5K to every presenter in Amazon credits. 10K to the winner.
I'll think through it, but how do I find you so that I can ask you more questions
just
about
shoot me an email.
do you like these?
Gregarious at Foundercraft.
Foundercraft. Will do. Thank you. Yeah, we typically know quite a few people who want to host, because what we do, one of our many things is we run founders only. It's right now it's a Slack channel, but it's a community. So no vendors, no investors. And so I can post on there. And
yeah, totally. I'm looking for ideally Denver area companies or, Colorado companies, but yeah.
I don't know if any of us have already asked you, but for the pipeline for 1 million cups, we are looking for ways to get the word out to founders to apply to present. So if you wouldn't mind
do that.
posting, that would be amazing.
Yeah. We need more presenters, so feel free to send them all here.
Okay, because that was a question that I actually had, because I've got this really stupid idea to present, not to pitch, to present. It's not a stupid idea. And I woke up last night and I finally started doing the pitch deck for it. And I wanted to know, how long can I procrastinate before you make me pitch?
When's our next opening? I think it's March-ish somewhere.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Procrastination.
I need to do my deck right now. I have some friend who's like, oh, I can get it to the investment team at CAA. And I'm like, oh shit, I need to go make it now.
Right. And that I had this idea last Thanksgiving, so over a year ago. And then I talked to 40 people about it, and they just said, yes. I'm like, shit, now I have to do it. And so I started to talk to lawyers about warming it up, and then COVID hit, and I was like, oh, good, I don't have to do it. Well, now here it is again. Gregarious, can you do this dyslexic Brad a favor? Can you type out your email so I can copy paste it? Thank you. I'll just,
March 10th, March 24th, March 31st. You can.
I'll go on the 10th, by the way. I want to go next month.
All right, the 10th is full. So the 24th or the 31st?
I'll do the 24th.
I'm going to another one.
Wait, no, I don't want to have to go after Greg, even if it's a full week later.
Well, you get 2 weeks in between. Presentation.
Cool.
Actually, yeah, you could put us in the same week. Like.
Oh, that's really that.
I don't know. I mean, well, we could do all kinds. Well, no, he's got like, magic fairy dust from Clubhouse. Like he can probably get 3,000 people to show up. So I don't want to compete with that. That's funny.
So Brad,
yeah.
did you guys do a pitch recently.
Didn't Hannah pitch? Or
don't
maybe I'm
think so.
misremembering.
We just talk a lot.
What is Delta Awesome?
So it's right now it's two things, but the first side is a startup advisory. I just got sick of helping people through accelerators and then watching them just hit the floor afterwards and ask me tons of same questions to themselves, but completely innovative. So Hannah and I said, hey, I think we can help people post accelerator. And now we call it phases 3, 4, and 5, accelerators phase 2. And we've helped dozens of companies just make entrepreneurship suck less. It's a whole long discussion about it, but pretty proud of the work that we do. We bring what we call primary advisors to bear. So in this community, I'd call it somebody who has a master's degree in entrepreneurship, which you can only get from the School of Hard Knocks. We put them next to the other founding team in short periods of time. Yeah, you like that, Nick? I pitched this before. And it really, really rises up like how well companies do, because the amount of failures that happen in startups for predictable reasons, we call them normal problems, is insane. Like co-founder conflict is 65% of why they fail. It shouldn't be a reason why you fail. It should be a reason why things are difficult or there was a struggle, but it shouldn't be like a net zero on 4 people's lives and $7 million. Like, okay, so we talk through communication issues and then, oh, they don't understand how to create a strategic plan. And, oh, I have to raise money on the 18th month, which means I have to have my plan, execute it and grow it, and then raise money for 6 months, not do whatever I want for a while. So that's one side. The other side of the house is, since we meet so many founders, we just wanted to make a special place where founders can go and just open up their hearts and chat about founding things, get a little teary-eyed or, buck up buttercup other times. And so those are the two ththings we do.
Right. You should definitely join Clubhouse. I do office hours every morning on Clubhouse.
So I actually wanted to talk to you about this because I've joined, and what you're saying is good. It's good stuff. And I've joined, but my problem is there's 400 people on there and I would be a contributor. And so it's weird to raise my hand with the hosts that I don't know and be like, hi, I'm Brad. I do this all the time. I'm not pitching myself, but here's my cool answer. Like I literally am socially.
I never pitch myself, but like I was telling these guys last week, I got $850 in bookings for like mentorship hours, like without asking once for money.
I guess I just say, please teach me how to be useful to that crowd.
Just answer the questions. Just come up. Next time you're there, I'll bring you up. I'll make you a mod and help answer the questions. Right. And
okay.
I'm literally growing like 100 to 200 followers a day, at least on Clubhouse.
Wow. It's an insane thing. And for me, again, because I've got some dyslexia things, like I think through this stuff, I process it. I work with lots and lots of people, but I'm never going to write the blog post. So I see the value of Clubhouse.
Right. Yeah. I don't have time to write. So that's why I do this, right? And like this week I have 7 Get Unstuck rooms, and we had like a legal one yesterday, and Thursday we have a solo founder one. And I have like Shulmon up from like 500 Startups speaking at that one. And yesterday I had a lawyer who wrote a book like Don't Fuck It Up.
That's actually what I would like to host one time. I've got a friend, his name's Rich Grote, up in Boulder, and we were talking about a podcast years ago and of the different things we could do for it. And one of the things he said is he wants to do a founder fuck ups podcast where all he does is interview somebody the week after they shut something down. They're raw. They haven't had enough time to process it and put some shine on it. And
you have to get enough of them to admit they're actually giving up.
Yeah. And I think that was just, oh God, you know how hard it is. The Techstars people, I was in a taxi with them one time and an Uber, and they said, that 95% of Techstars companies still exist. And I just go, no, they don't.
Yeah, my ass. By the way, Leia, Saba and I run rooms all the time. He's like the head of pipeline for Techstars. Like we run rooms all the time on Clubhouse.
I'll keep my eyes open for you. And
I've never met him in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Entrepreneurship is like 1/3 of the content in Clubhouse. That's why you should all be there.
It was really good to meet you, Brad. I'm gonna get to work.
To Allie.
Yeah, Allie.
I want to make sure that I got Greg's email because copy.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking you guys through this.
So I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah, Allie.
Bye.
See you, Allie.
So curious, what's Clubhouse's revenue stream?
No, there's no revenue there. Um, they're not, there's no rush for them to monetize, I think. Right. It's like Facebook, right? Like they're just gonna be, I think personally, I think their business is akin to like Sirius XM, right? Like for the next tier of like, for a creator oriented space, right? So, you have like a celebrity oriented space, like the Rush Limbaughs, all those kinds of people who have like shows on Sirius, but I think what they're opening up is, someone like me who's like, a domain expert, but not like, a celebrity, right? Like can build a following, could potentially monetize it, and to Brad's point, there's no production involved, right? There's no, you don't have to bring it. You don't have to have an audience, right? Like you just go and you can start and you can literally have followers and have people listening and participating like very quickly. And I think that that's like super powerful. And, when you start to see people with 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, like there's several people with more than 1 million already in Clubhouse, right? That's an opportunity. Like if you're getting even $1 a month from 1% of your audience, 2% of your audience, 5% of your audience, you start to actually can turn that into like, oh, I could be a creator, like sharing my domain expertise, basically more so than anything else. Like that's why I do live streaming, because there's no production work for me, right? Like I'm fast on my feet, so I don't really need to prep ever, right? I can just be in a conversation with anyone and just like manage to have like a decent conversation with them. So I don't have to produce anything at the end. It streams out to the audiences I already have. And so I was doing live stream for 2 years before this, and that's why I liked it. And Clubhouse just lowers that bar even further, right? Like, I mean, the video part, I don't understand people who complain about video. I have to be on Zoom all day, right? Like, so it's not like I don't get up and get dressed, right? And I've already built a studio basically in my basement. So it's not like that worries me at all. But the Clubhouse part just is a whole new audience of people that I wouldn't normally sort of encounter, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
powerful.
my buddy and I were chatting about, his name's Joseph Logan. He's a executive coach up in Boulder again. And we were chatting about just the difference between content and conversations. And that's what Clubhouse really opened up to me, because content is a lot of things. You have to think through it. You have to write it out. Then you have to, of course, do all the video and the editing and and then you really have to know that there's going to be a market for that someday, to put that much effort in, even if it's a day per 5 minutes. Whereas a conversation, literally, I don't know you that well. You don't know me that well, but I know that if people were listening in to you and I riffing off something, they would all gain from it. And all it would require is our time. Well, that barrier to entry for me goes from impossible and I have to have certainty in the standard to why not give it a shot?
Yeah. That's why our product is AMAs, because it's just answering questions, right? Like, so like, you don't have to find people to interview. Then you have to figure out what questions you want to ask them and try to sound intelligent, all this bullshit. It's like, hey, I'm an expert in something. Come ask me your questions and I'll answer them. And that's like free content that just falls out of your mouth, right? And that's like really, really powerful, I think, for most people, right? And so that's why I think like Clubhouse is doing a great job. I think they're working on 2 levels. There's like the COVID emotional connectivity thing that people are just missing, right? And so I think there's some of that. There's a little bit of the Zoom fatigue. Like they're like all my online interaction now is like for work. So this is like a personal sort of thing as well. But I think the trajectory definitely points to sort of an opportunity where you've got a whole tiers of experts that are unrecognized, right? Like these emergent experts, as far as I consider them, right? And they're all trying to basically have a shingle, right? And so this gives them that opportunity, right? Like 6,000 people today know about me that didn't know about me 4 months ago, right? And that's like a super empowering thing.
It is. And that was something that happened to Hannah and I. It's just odd that Clubhouse showed up. We had 3 or 4 clients invite us and we were like, I don't get it, whatever. And then it was interesting. I was just starting to listen in, and then I came back to Million Cups, and now you're here. And of course, the founder of Unstuck was the very first thing I ever listened to. And so it's just kind of interesting how all that serendipity is coming along. But so the other piece is, where is it going? It's not yet on Android, and they don't yet have a pricing model. They'll have both of those next year
by their own purpose,
right?
Though, right? Like, so,
yeah, the invitations.
They're invitation only on purpose, right? Like it's not because like the biggest rooms are still only 5,000, right? Like, so they're pretty intentional, like about like I think what they're doing. The Android part, like I think like the Android part has like other risks to them, right? Because Android's a much more hackable ecosystem. And so I think like different things will happen once it makes it to Android that they're trying to protect against. But also they have so much pent up demand on the iPhone side. Like I was the Android person actually, right? Like I was using Android before. I got an iPhone only to test our app, but then now that I'm on Clubhouse so much, I just switched to using my iPhone all the time, and I hate the iPhone.
So we actually bought. We have a friend, and she's done some advising work on the side. I went to law school with her husband. Like I love her to death. But her true joy and hope is called World Changing Women. Right? She just believes in women entrepreneurs, and that's awesome. And I want to support her in any way I can. I'm like, oh my God, Megan, you already have 15,000 followers in various ways. Why are you not on Clubhouse? She goes, well, I have an Android. I looked at Hannah.
Yeah.
We looked back and forth. So I gave her my old iPhone, and now we're picking up the tab for her like lowest cost thing, just because. And again, I've only been kind of dancing around Clubhouse for a month, but like remove the barrier, Megan. Like, oh, you don't have that. Here's an iPhone, and I will pay $50 a month for a year to see if this is useful for you, because we might actually change the world.
Yeah.
Like Megan might change the world by being on Clubhouse. I'm going to put $600 down on that bet.
But honestly, like, being in Clubhouse, like, I've used LinkedIn Sales Navigator in the past in my last companies and whatnot. I would pay for Clubhouse instantly if they wanted my money, right? Because as an entrepreneur, I don't know Saba, right? Like, but I've been on stage and Saba like has tremendous respect for me and pings me into his rooms now, right? Or, and I love talking with him, right? Like, so it's like, there's such interesting stuff that happens. Like these kinds of conversations that are cutting and crossing, you can't do that normally, right? Like you can send an email to somebody and they'll be like, whatever, fuck you. It's like a million things that I get a day. Or you ask a thought-provoking question, or you're on stage and they're in the audience and hear you, right? Like that just cuts through so much layers of stuff, right?
I get it. What's lovely is I'm starting to see this, and then hearing you as a practitioner having the same enthusiasm, just like a lot more advanced knowledge and stuff. It's really getting me.
It's great.
Okay.
Also, by the way, as an entrepreneur, it's always on focus groups, right? Like you can literally just start a room. Like a month ago, we were investigating some newsletter stuff. I just literally started a room. I was like, do you have a newsletter? Yes or no? Right? Like why or why not? And 15 people showed up and talked to me for an hour about newsletters.
Oh, Hannah was saying goodbye. And it's crazy too. Another thing that I love about it is the one-to-many nature that I don't usually get, because I work real deep with up to 6 founders at a time, right? I'm basically a co-CEO or CEO B for 1 to 2 to 3 years. That's awesome. But I get pattern recognition. I figure stuff out like that thing. But I can't get that out widely unless that getting it out widely is my business model. Now that's fine that it's yours, right? That would be, but I don't want to invent that business model. But I do want to change the world. If I think of something that's smart and helpful to people, I would love to get that. Well, now it's a conversation that just comes up instead of a podcast and a speakership series and a book.
I think it was a very different frame, because I feel like the only way you learn something, in my opinion, is by teaching it to someone else. And so it doesn't matter how much experience I have, how much work I've done. It's these conversations that finally make me summarize. And it's that process of summarizing like my experience that actually makes me better every day. Right. And so that's why I start every day, 30 minutes on Clubhouse, answering these questions is actually getting me to summon the things I learned, the best practices I know, right? Like my experience that mattered. That makes me better even every day as I'm just diving into my own work.
We do a thing with everybody, which we start off with asking people their definition of success. And then our second tier is always, what are the things that we can do to increase the likelihood to succeed? It's just a phrasing that we use. It just means strategy and tactics, but there's a whole thing behind it. But I have spoken about that so many times because I wrote it down once in grad school 10 years ago. It's meaningful to me, but every time I teach it, it reinforces it for me. And so whenever Hannah and I are looking at doing anything, we actually have that common language because we use it all day with our clients and with other people we're talking to and talking about. Well, then it's not our best practice. It just is our practice. New idea comes up and say, okay, cool. Hannah, what's your definition of success? To get 3 leads and bring somebody a smile. Cool. Does the thing that we just wrote, is it likely to achieve that result? Yes, go do it. Yeah, Greg, and I love this too. And I love learning about it. And I love learning that the thing I was doing right is now wrong. It's all gravy, man.
Totally. Welcome back, Ken. Good to see you.
Hey, Such great advice. This has been like the best 1 Million Cups
Oh,
group
shit,
I've
Rush
joined
Limbaugh
so
died.
far. You guys rock.
Oh,
And I have to say, your mic
Two
systems
pieces of
and
good
your camera is outstanding. Is your first name Gregarious?
Yeah, you can call me Greg.
Greg. Love your microphone. You've got such a radio voice and such a radio
It's the hardware. It's
setup.
definitely
It's awesome. Commands authority.
Yeah. Well, I've for my birthday, I basically bought like a whole rig of like $1,000 of audio gear, like to add to the studio situation. But largely because of all the Clubhouse work I'm doing and the experimentation for my products. So
Got it.
but
Got
yeah,
it. Well, it's paying
good.
off. You sound awesome.
Thank you.
You look very pro. And Brad, I enjoyed meeting your partner, Hannah, in the breakout room and learning about your
No
business.
poaching.
Fantastic.
No poaching.
No,
She's available for hire or
No.
co-founding.
I think you have an awesome business. And, just the
That's
little
awesome.
tidbits of advice I heard as I came back into the room, you guys must really rock it for that, except for the companies exiting the accelerator.
Oh, stop.
Brad,
Yeah,
by the way,
you know,
I was going to mention it. It's funny because so my consulting company, I have two, but my innovation consulting company is called Before Alpha.
Before Alpha.
Before Alpha, and then Delta. Awesome.
Yeah. But I like basically I teach corporations how to act like a startup.
Gosh, I get invited to do that all the time, and it's almost always the same story for me. It's they don't realize that they tried to do it 3 or 4 years ago, and they hired a bunch of entrepreneurs and some consultants in this, and then they just slowly told these people, no, that won't work. No, it won't work like this. No, and they just slowly drop off because entrepreneurs have the ability to leave a corporate job whenever they want and start something. They don't need permission. So I call it the entrepreneurial squeeze. So I would love, Gregarious, if you someday taught me about what you're doing for results there.
It's so much better because I don't like charging founders money. So that's why I charge like big corporations a lot more money, so I can like donate a lot of my time to the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, how do they find you, Greg?
Well, I've been around in the space for a long time, and I worked for a Denver company called Iterate for a while, which is an innovation company. I know a bunch of VCs. I moved here from SF, so like that sort of tends to be the primary way in. A lot of it honestly is like zoo tours, right? Like it's like, oh, look at the funny startups, right? Like, and you sort of like introduce them to 5 or 10 sort of things. Like right now I'm actually technically an EIR at like a large global like eye insurance company. Right. And like, it's great because, it's like 1 or 2 days a week. And it's just more like, I have like a whole framework and other things and tools that I use like to help founders get off the ground. And I basically go teach them how to use those tools. But honestly, the big part of it is really just giving people permission to do things a different way. Like, and so sometimes being there is sort of like the allowance for that more than anything else, right? Like
one thing that I get a lot, Greg, like in a similar position is I will take the hit because I'm the inside outside guy. And I'll say, hey, wow, Nick, that really might, I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I know if it's a bad idea, it's the one that's going to lead someone else to the good one. Now, everyone on this group would know that. That totally makes sense. I have bad ideas all the time, and one of you guys is going to help me refine. But in large corporate land, people are scared shitless of bringing up an idea that then would be accused of being bad or incomplete.
For sure.
And so just having your presence to take that hit.
Why did they hire consultants in general, right? It's usually like for someone else to tell them what they already know, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's absolutely it. Some of it is, it's also like, because like, as a consultant, you sort of rationalize things in frameworks. And so like frameworks feel like there's more of a thorough process to it, even though it could really still be justifying throwing spaghetti at the wall. Right. And so like, I'm happy to share with you guys at any point, but I have a whole framework like of like how I like break down innovation and like why startups succeed at it more so than corporations and whatnot. But it's interesting, like, yeah, half the time you're going in and that's all you're doing is you're basically giving people permission to sort of like try new things, right? And to think differently than they normally think. And they're happy to have someone there to say it's okay, right? Like, and like it's funny though, because like a lot of times you're working with people and you're like, do you know how to wipe your ass, right? Like, it's like, because I don't know how you get out of bed every morning, right? Like
they don't.
Don't.
No.
Oh, that's so funny.
It is funny.
But it's great that, yeah, one of the benefits of being a consultant doing what you do is that companies need to disrupt themselves. And sometimes the best way to disrupt themselves is to bring in somebody new, shake it all up, so that it gives you permission to kind of reorganize around the new idea and to,
Totally.
talk
That's
normal.
why when they introduced me around the team, I'm like, my job is to tell you how I would destroy your business.
We talk about it in, you're swimming forward or you're drowning, and treading water is a slow, painful form of drowning. And the only way to move from either going backwards or treading water is just what you said. You have to disrupt some stuff. But it's in the picking up of it is the new ideas, because the pace of innovation and change in marketplaces right now has gone from 20 and 30 year cycles to like 20 and 30 month cycles. I mean, we're seeing, the industries that people don't know about, the mere $600 billion a year industries that we never talk about.
Yeah.
Right. They're shifting, and people are gaining and losing 10% of market share in 2 years right now in industrial manufacturing. Like, you cannot afford to get a whole bunch of drones, teach them how to be drones, and then really, really hope that you can get drones to be 5% more effective. Don't work anymore. But again, I don't want to say drones too pejoratively. It's just because you're doing stuff to engage people. I thought it'd be a fun phrasing for you. You could call your thing "No Drones."
Yeah, but by the way, that was where my feedback came from for you, Jen, was that, like, I think inside of large companies, they may more grok or, align with sort of like KPIs and sort of like 2025 strategic plans and these other things. But the startup side, right? Like, which could become a $1 million business, in 6 months. It's, it's all strapped together, right? Like, very loosely. And, I'm a big fan of like the minimum viable process, right? So doing as little as possible, that you need to be successful. But at some point, and it's not an easy point, it's usually through pain that you understand that you need more process, right? Like, so it's only till you're like, why does this keep happening, that you're like, we're doing something wrong here, right? And the first thing usually is that we don't have actually like an aim, right? Like, or a goal associated with the thing, because the standing goal at every startup is more, right? Like, and so it's just like, do it more, like ship more, sell more, right? Like support more, right? Like
I just have to like
fundraise more.
So when we teach people about definitions of success, I say, if you don't define success, the default answer is more. And in business, it's more money. And I've asked hundreds of entrepreneurs this question, and more money has never been their definition of success. It's a great result of why, whatever they're doing, I make people happier, and then they pay me. And but it's just, you're so right, Gregarious. Like, I just watch people run around and like, why are you doing this thing? It's like, well, because I have to have more of it. Well, do you need more dates? And do you need more money? And do you need more users? Why?
And startups are so resource constrained. They can't do more. Like, there's no way that could be the death of them, actually.
It's always the death of them, right? Like, it's overextending, right? Like, and by the way, the reality is that better is an optimal goal, right? Like, so like improving, getting better revenue is better, right? Like getting better at supporting your customers is worth it, right? Getting better at at retaining employees is actually a good thing, right? But more employees is not a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring that into my head a little bit more, but we talk about, and this is such a brutal thing for founders, especially the founder CEOs, is the concept of good enough being definitionally true as good enough. And it's like, hey, is your revenue good enough this month? Which good enough could be a little bit better, but learning, what are their sacred elephants or sacred cows? What are their this and that? But man, I watch it when I teach that, I watch their faces just fall, because these are not people who think in terms of good enough, right?
Right.
And the
sense.
story I
But
teach.
it's funny because they do, but they don't ever admit it, right? Like, because every day to go to bed and accept good enough, right?
Yeah.
Oh God. And that's why a lot of times, I'm sure you get the same call. It's like, somebody says, hey, you got a minute to chat at 9 p.m? Like, oh, I'm going to be talking this guy off the ledge. And it's like, well, I don't know. Did you do good enough on that today? It's like, yeah, but I didn't this, my expectations that, and it's all up in their head. So the story I tell for good enough is actually from my mom. She was an insurance broker many years ago. And so she went to MBA school, she worked for a while, and then she got her insurance brokerage, and she studied really hard because it was really an important thing back in the 90s when she did it. And she was nervous about failing. Well, she was so almost defeated. They literally stop grading when you get 70 questions right on the 100 questions. Like, and so let's say on the 75th question, you know, she'd gotten 5 wrong, and then it's like she doesn't know how well she did. And it's like, it's really hard in this culture to get, but why would you continue to grade if you're good enough? Or all of my friends who took the bar, they know their score on the bar. And it's like, well, my score was 1 point above passing or more. It doesn't matter. But internalizing that when you're an ambitious person who's seeking a vision, you wake up every day and you obsess about it without anyone asking you, that's their personhood. And then here's the lessonhood. And it's like,
yeah, well, you know, they're all alpha personalities, right? So that was part of what the alpha, our alpha was like a triple entendre, right? Like, because yeah. So.
Well, Greg, I have to say that your questions were very clarifying for me, because what it said was I need to do more storytelling around the pain points. And
for sure, like that was what I was getting at, was like, I feel like, you know, it's like the carrot and the stick tends to work better in moving people towards an action, right? And so, you know, the prospects of better versus like somehow just any way, you know, antagonizing what bothers me most, like you're just going to do better from that sort of founder early, you know, and you're still got like that dictatorial kind of CEO, like at that $1 million, you know, level of revenue, right? Like that's not like a big company, you know, by any stretch. You know, it's likely not a very big, you know, pile of customer. Like one of my clients has 5 employees, but we book like 16 million a month in revenue, right? Like, so, you know, so it's certainly like you can, and he's totally a micromanager, right? Like, so yeah, I think like I would test it. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily better, but I think like for certain segments of the personas that you can reach, you know, like you said, anyone who's already got a thing, great. Like you can win with that, like very easily. But by the way, another subsegment, I have to go in a second, but the subsegment I think could be really relevant to you is I built a product for my old co-founder actually called Milestone Tracker. And he had built it because he was in finance, and it was a tool for reporting upwards to boards of directors. And so this was another place where I would look for where there's external accountability, like is really critical, right? Because then you can use it to drive sort of this behavior internally, even if it's not org wide, it could still manifest like across like some important segments.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good thing to take a look at. What was it called? Milestone Tracker?
Yeah, we never shipped it. We ended up, that was the same guy started my last company with. We built it and then like we launched a different company.
Okay, but you're right. Accountability. That's why exec coaches are starting to come on board, because they see it as a way to hold their clients accountable. Because otherwise, you know, if they don't follow through, the value isn't there.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
all right,
well,
gang.
thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time and your feedback.
Bye.
And Nick, I'm going to send you a quick email, but
okay,
I also just want to say, Nick, thank you for what you do.
No, thank you, Brad. I appreciate you guys coming out each week.
Yeah, it's really been a huge relief for us, because we had one major client all year, and that's wrapping up, which is fine. But we just kind of, during COVID and all the craziness, we forgot that we really like other entrepreneurs and we can be helpful and we can be helped. Like, and it was until 3 weeks ago when we showed back up at this, when it was going, oh, wait, that's right.
Well, I'm so glad you did that. It was my lucky day that you were here on the call today. And thank you so much, Nick. You did an awesome job.
Thanks, Jen. All right, guys.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.